Imagine standing at the edge of a precipice. Except this cliff is made of people's eyes, and the sea below is a crowd waiting for you to speak. Your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Yes, this might remind you of an Eminem song, but this is no stage for a rap battle. It's your turn to speak publicly. Suddenly, the microphone feels like a lead pipe in your hand. Yet, despite the quaking boots and the dizzying pulse, you find a way to begin. That first word breaks the dam, and a flow of courage rushes through you. In this essay, we're diving into that exact moment of bravery, speaking up even when you tremble. When it comes to public speaking, our bodies often react as if we're facing a saber-toothed tiger rather than a room full of conference attendees. Palms sweat, hearts race, and some of us even experience the dreaded voice quake. Funny enough, no one ever mentions these in the job description under must have excellent communication skills. It's like your body is throwing a tantrum screaming, "Why did you sign us up for this horror movie?" Meanwhile, your brain is trying to shuffle through index cards that suddenly seem written in an alien script. The irony of it all? Once you start speaking, the terror often begins to subside. Talking about a physiological comedy, the fear of public speaking is practically a slapstick routine in the human survival script. Let's face it, nobody's going to be eaten by a microphone. There's nothing quite like your first public speaking flop. Picture this, me, a fresh-faced enthusiast armed with nothing but good intentions and a PowerPoint that I mistakenly thought was self-explanatory. The result? A belly flop so spectacular it would have scored a perfect 10 in the Olympic cringeworthy performance. What did I learn? Never trust a technology that promises to just work, and always have a joke ready to diffuse awkward situations. It turns out, "Is this thing on?" can be both a literal and figurative icebreaker. The lesson here is as old as time. If at first you don't succeed, try a different USB port, or better yet, turn your mishaps into part of your charm. Before every speech, there's a critical moment that happens backstage or just off to the side. It's the pep talk, where you're both coach and player. "You've got this," I tell myself, followed quickly by, "Don't trip over your own feet." It's a bit like hyping yourself up for a duel with a dragon where the only weapon you have is rhetoric. This inner dialogue is a mix of motivational speeches and last-minute panic. It's not just about pumping yourself up. It's about convincing yourself that the worst-case scenario isn't really that bad. What's the worst that can happen? You make a fool of yourself in front of dozens? Been there, done that? Humor is the cushion of these pep talks. Laughing at your fears doesn't just lighten the mood, it puts the dragons to sleep. Ever heard about Thomas Edison's numerous speech debacles? Neither have I, because he was smart enough to let his inventions do the talking. However, many successful people weren't immune to public speaking blunders. Winston Churchill, known for his oratory prowess, once forgot his lines during a major speech. He stood silent for almost 2 minutes, which in speech time feels like a lifetime. But here's the kicker. He turned that into a dramatic pause that captivated his audience even more deeply. This teaches us that sometimes our biggest stumbles can become part of our legend. So next time you flub a line, remember, even the greats had their moments. Maybe your gaffe is just future anecdote material. Why do we tremble when we're nervous? It's not just because the room suddenly feels colder or that your body has a vendetta against calm composure. When we face public speaking, our sympathetic nervous system kicks into overdrive, preparing us for a fight-or-flight scenario. Ironically, the more you fight the shaking, the more pronounced it becomes. The trick is to acknowledge it. I once told an audience, "I'm not trembling because I'm scared. I'm just trying to shake things up a bit with my presentation." Laughter broke the ice, and my shaking hands seemed less noticeable. It's amazing how a touch of humor can turn a nervous quirk into an endearing trait. Plus, it's a great way to get some cardio in. Engaging your audience isn't just about speaking at them, it's about speaking with them. Imagine they're old friends, interested in what you have to say. This shift in perspective can turn a daunting crowd into a supportive gathering. One trick I've used is to pick out a few friendly faces in different parts of the room and rotate my attention among them. It's like having a conversation in a group where everyone is nodding and smiling. Sometimes I pretend they're all in their underwear. Classic, but it works. Remember, if you can get the crowd on your side, it's like crowd surfing. You're supported, lifted, and propelled by their energy. A well-timed pause in a speech is like a well-placed rest in a piece of music. It adds drama, gives the audience time to absorb your words, and allows you to collect your thoughts. It's a powerful tool that can turn, let me ponder this profound thought. Pauses can be your secret weapon. They give you a moment to breathe and regain your composure without anyone being the wiser. I once paused for a good 10 seconds, and someone later complimented me on my thoughtful reflection. Little did they know, I was just trying to remember my next point. Embrace the pause. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. One of the best ways to connect with your audience is to show them you're human. And what's more human than a bit of self-deprecating humor? It shows confidence, relatability, and the ability to laugh at oneself. I remember starting a speech with, "I prepared for this talk the same way I prepare for a dinner party," overconfidently and at the last minute. It got a good laugh and set the tone for a fun, relaxed presentation. When you can laugh at yourself, it invites others to laugh along with you, not at you. It builds a bridge between you and your audience, making the whole experience more enjoyable for everyone. We've all heard practice makes perfect, but when it comes to public speaking, let's settle for practice makes it bearable. The more familiar you are with your material, the less likely you are to be thrown off by nerves. Plus, practicing helps embed your key points so you can deliver them smoothly, even on autopilot. During one practice session, I practiced with a mouthful of marbles, believing it would improve my enunciation. Spoiler, it didn't, but it did provide a hilarious story and a lesson in what not to do. Sometimes the best preparations are the ones that teach you what's unnecessary. Practice might not make your speech perfect, but it'll make your delivery far more confident and, at times, even enjoyable. Finding your unique voice in public speaking is crucial. It's not just about how you sound, it's about how authentically you convey your message. You know, I've tried imitating the booming presence of motivational speakers, only to realize I sound more convincing and less like I'm trying to sell a used car when I simply speak as myself. Tailor your tone to your audience and the setting. A light-hearted, informal tone might work for a startup pitch, while a more structured and serious tone might be necessary for a financial report. Your voice is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely, and remember, sometimes the most persuasive speeches are delivered in a conversational, sincere tone. In today's digital age, various tools can help ease the stress of public speaking. Teleprompters, apps that help you practice your timing, and even VR environments that simulate audiences can be incredibly helpful. I once used an app that buzzed every time I said or like. By the end of one practice session, I felt like I'd been in a game show, but it worked. My next speech was almost filler-free. Don't shy away from using technology to your advantage. It's like having a supportive coach in your pocket. There's a surprising joy in overcoming the fear of public speaking. It's not just about getting through a speech without fainting, it's about the connections you make, the confidence you build, and the doors that open as a result. After one particularly successful presentation, someone approached me to say that my words had inspired them to pursue their project, which they had been hesitating to start. Knowing that your words can have such an impact is an incredible feeling. It's the kind of joy you can't anticipate, but is profoundly gratifying. Embrace the unexpected benefits that come from stepping out of your comfort zone. The rewards often extend far beyond the applause. Having a supportive network can make all the difference when facing public speaking fears. Whether it's friends who give you honest feedback or a mentor who coaches you through your anxieties, these are the people who help you find your footing. I once had a friend who would throw socks at me if I started to sound too robotic during practice. It was absurd but effective. By the time I gave the actual speech, I was so used to dodging socks that the real thing felt like a breeze. Surround yourself with people who push you to be better in humorous and helpful ways. They're not just your support system, they're part of your success. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this essay, it's this. The fear of public speaking is universal, but it's also conquerable. Each speech, each stumble, and each success is a step towards becoming a more confident communicator. So take a deep breath, step up to the podium, and just do it. After all, what's the worst that can happen? Remember, every speaker started with a first word. Let yours be the beginning of a journey of many more words, shared bravely, even if you tremble. Here's to speaking up, speaking out, and most importantly, not being afraid to laugh at the microphone when things go awry.